Nobody takes Dollar Tree seriously as a business story. It is the store people mention as a punchline, the errand you run when you need 20 picture frames and cannot explain why you need 20 picture frames. But Dollar Tree just made a series of moves that no other discount retailer in America was willing to attempt, and the decisions they have made in the last several years are being studied by retail analysts who have stopped laughing and started paying very close attention. This is not a story about cheap stuff in a cheerful red store. This is a story about one of the strangest and most instructive corporate transformations in American retail. What Dollar Tree actually is. Most people have never thought about this. Dollar Tree was founded in 1986 in Norfolk, Virginia, under the name Only $1.0. The concept was not complicated. Every single item in the store cost exactly $1, not 99 cents to trigger the psychological discount response. Not a dollar and change. $1, full stop. Nothing negotiable. The founder, K.R. Perry, understood something specific about the psychology of a single price point that most retailers have never fully grasped. A single price point removes an entire category of decision-making from the shopping experience. When everything costs $1, you never have to calculate whether something is worth it. You never have to compare prices across a shelf or wonder whether the store brand is actually cheaper when you account for unit size. The math is always the same. One item, $1, decision complete. That simplicity is not a feature of the Dollar Tree shopping experience, it is the product. The stuff inside the store is almost secondary to the clarity of the transaction itself. Dollar Tree went public in 1995. By 2000, it had over 1,000 locations across the United States. By 2010, it had nearly 4,000. At its peak, Dollar Tree was opening multiple new stores every single week in a retail environment where most chains were contracting and closing. The $1 promise was the engine behind every one of those openings because it gave Dollar Tree something that no other retailer could claim, a brand that was its own pricing guarantee. Every dollar store in America has a name that implies a price. Family Dollar, Dollar General, Five Below. Dollar Tree is the only one that actually kept the promise for as long as it did. For 35 years, everything in the store cost $1. Not most things, not almost everything. Everything. That commitment built a consumer loyalty that is almost impossible to manufacture through advertising or loyalty programs, because it was built on a promise that was kept every single day for 3.5 decades. Walk in, pick something up, pay $1, leave. 35 years of that happening exactly as advertised is worth more than most brand campaigns ever achieve. The $1.25 decision that changed everything. November 2021 changed everything. Dollar Tree announced that it was raising its prices from $1 to $1.25 across the vast majority of its product selection. The internet reacted the way the internet reacts to things it does not fully understand. Outrage, memes, jokes about the end of an era, a general sense that something sacred had been quietly and cynically abandoned. People who had not been inside a Dollar Tree in 4 years had feelings about this, strong feelings expressed at length in public forums. Here is what was actually happening behind that decision. Dollar Tree had been losing suppliers for years. The $1 price ceiling was not just a consumer-facing promise, it was a sourcing constraint that had become increasingly impossible to maintain as inflation, shipping costs, and raw material prices climbed steadily throughout the late 2010s. Suppliers who wanted to sell into the Dollar Tree network had to engineer their products specifically to hit a $1 retail price while leaving enough margin for Dollar Tree and for themselves. As costs rose, the engineering required to hit that number became more and more creative in ways that were not always serving the product or the customer. Some suppliers were reducing product weight and package size to maintain the price point. Others were substituting cheaper raw materials, Others were simply walking away from the Dollar Tree channel entirely because the math no longer worked. The $1 promise was starting to hollow out the store from the inside, replacing real products with downsized, reformulated, or lower quality alternatives that technically cost $1 and practically cost the customer more per unit than a comparable product at a different retailer. The 25-cent increase sounds trivial. It is a 25% price increase on the base unit, which is not trivial at all. But for Dollar Tree, it unlocked something important. $1.25 opened the door to suppliers who had been mathematically unable to participate in the Dollar Tree ecosystem at the previous price ceiling. It allowed Dollar Tree to stock more full-sized versions of products that had been quietly shrunk. It created enough margin headroom to bring back category leaders who had exited the channel when $1 became untenable. In the 2 quarters following the price change, Dollar Tree reported that supplier interest in the channel increased measurably. The customers who threatened to stop shopping there largely did not. There is a lesson buried in that consumer response worth sitting with. Dollar Tree shoppers are not primarily motivated by the $1 price point itself. They are motivated by the value equation that the store delivers, which is a different thing. $1.25 for a product that genuinely performs is a better value than $1 for a product that has been shrunk, reformulated, and compromised until it barely functions. Most of Dollar Tree's customers understood that intuitively, even if they could not have articulated it in those terms. The outrage was about the symbolic loss of the promise. The shopping behavior was about the actual math, and the math still worked. The Family Dollar disaster. $8.5 billion bought Dollar Tree a problem. In 2015, Dollar Tree acquired Family Dollar stores in a deal that was one of the largest in discount retail history and was almost immediately recognized as one of the most complicated. Family Dollar was a different kind of dollar store. Its price points were not fixed. Its store footprint was different. Its customer base skewed differently in ways that did not naturally align with the Dollar Tree shopping experience. The regulatory process around the acquisition required Dollar Tree to divest over 300 Family Dollar locations before the deal could close, selling them to Dollar General to satisfy antitrust concerns. That divestiture process was expensive, time-consuming, and set the integration off to a complicated start before the ink on the merger documents was dry. Then the real problems began to emerge at the store level. Family Dollar stores were, in many cases, in significantly worse physical condition than Dollar Tree had anticipated during due diligence. Inventory management systems were incompatible. Employee turnover at Family Dollar was running at rates that made consistent store operations nearly impossible to maintain. And the customer bases of the two brands, while both broadly described as value shoppers, had different expectations and different shopping patterns that resisted the integration strategies Dollar Tree attempted. In 2022, activist investor Mantle Ridge acquired a significant stake in Dollar Tree and began publicly pushing for changes to Family Dollar strategy, including the possibility of spinning the brand off entirely. The pressure was not quiet. It was a very public argument about whether two brands that looked similar from the outside were actually compatible enough to operate inside the same corporate structure. The answer, based on the financial performance of the combined entity, was not an enthusiastic yes. Then came the regulatory investigations. The Food and Drug Administration conducted inspections at a Family Dollar distribution center in Arkansas in 2022 and found conditions serious enough to trigger a voluntary product recall affecting multiple states and multiple product categories, including food, drugs, cosmetics, and medical devices. Dollar Tree agreed to pay $241 million in 2023 to resolve the federal investigation that followed, one of the largest settlements in FDA enforcement history. That number is not a rounding error on anyone's balance sheet. Dollar Tree announced the closure of approximately 1,000 Family Dollar stores across 2024 and 2025 and disclosed that it was actively exploring strategic alternatives for the Family Dollar brand, which is corporate language for we are trying to figure out how to exit this situation in a way that recovers some of what we spent to get into it. The $8.5 billion acquisition had become a case study in what happens when two retail cultures that look compatible from a distance turn out to be genuinely incompatible at the operational level. The private label gamble. While Family Dollar was burning, Dollar Tree did something that deserves its own separate and careful examination. Quietly and without a great deal of fanfare, Dollar Tree began a meaningful expansion of its private label product offerings under its house brand. If you have been in a Dollar Tree in the last 2 years and paid attention to the shelf tags, you may have noticed the proliferation of products carrying the store's own branding rather than national brand names. Private label is not a new strategy in retail. Every major grocery chain, every mass merchandiser, and every club store has private label product lines that generate higher margins than the national brands sitting next to them on the shelf. What makes Dollar Tree's private label move interesting is the specific context in which it is happening and the specific categories into which the store is choosing to expand. Dollar Tree's private label push is concentrated in categories where national brands have historically underserved the value shopper: cleaning products, personal care basics, food staples, over-the-counter health items. These are not glamour categories. They are the categories where people buy what they need rather than what they want, which makes them extraordinarily loyal categories for a retailer that can consistently deliver a product that works at a price that does not require calculation. The margin math on private label at Dollar Tree's scale is meaningful. A national brand product at Dollar Tree generates a certain margin after the cost of the product, the distribution, and the shelf space allocation. A private label product in the same category manufactured to Dollar Tree's specifications by a contract manufacturer generates a higher margin on the same transaction. Multiply that margin difference across millions of transactions every week across over 16,000 stores, and the private label strategy becomes one of the most significant financial levers available to the company. What Dollar Tree is doing differently from the standard private label playbook is building its house brand around the fixed price tire rather than around a quality positioning. The pitch is not that the store brand is as good as the national brand at a lower price. The pitch is that for $1.25 or $3 or $5, depending on the tier, this product does what you need it to do. That framing sidesteps the quality comparison conversation entirely and puts the value equation back on the price certainty that built Dollar Tree's customer relationship in the first place. The supply chain. Pivot nobody noticed China has been the backbone of Dollar Tree's sourcing model. For decades, the economics of Chinese manufacturing made the $1 price point achievable for product categories that would have been impossible to source domestically at that price. Toys, household goods, seasonal decorations, party supplies, basic hardware, cleaning tools. The entire physical inventory of the average Dollar Tree store reflects a sourcing relationship with Chinese manufacturing infrastructure that developed over 30 plus years. Tariff exposure fundamentally changed that calculation. Tariffs imposed on Chinese imports across multiple rounds of trade policy changes throughout the late 2010s created a sourcing problem that the 25-cent price increase alone could not fully address. Dollar Tree had to move volume, not all of it and not immediately, but enough to reduce the tariff exposure that was compressing margins on a significant portion of its product mix. Vietnam became the most significant alternative sourcing destination. India expanded its role in Dollar Tree's supply chain meaningfully. Bangladesh, Indonesia, and several other Southeast Asian manufacturing markets absorbed sourcing volume that had previously moved through China. This geographic diversification did not happen cheaply or quickly. Building supplier relationships in new manufacturing markets requires time, quality control investment, and the willingness to accept short-term disruption in product availability while new supply chains reach stable operational status. Dollar Tree began this diversification earlier than most comparable retailers. The scale of their purchasing volume meant that moving even a fraction of their Chinese sourcing to alternative markets required significant advance planning and supplier development work. The retailers who began scrambling to diversify their supply chains after tariff exposure became an acute crisis were playing catch-up with a timeline that Dollar Tree had started running ahead of the general alarm. The supply chain story is not finished, and it is not clean. China remains a major sourcing partner for Dollar Tree, and likely will remain one for the foreseeable future, because the manufacturing infrastructure simply does not exist elsewhere at equivalent scale for many of the product categories Dollar Tree sources in volume. But the diversification that has occurred has reduced the company's tariff exposure in ways that matter when you are operating on the thin margins that fixed price retail requires. The rural America angle Dollar Tree is not a suburban phenomenon. Understanding who actually shops at Dollar Tree and what role it plays in their daily lives completely changes the frame through which you evaluate every other business decision the company makes. Close your eyes and picture a Dollar Tree shopper. Whatever image arrived, it is probably missing a significant portion of the actual customer base. Rural America is Dollar Tree territory in a way that is not fully captured in most retail industry coverage. In communities where the nearest Walmart is 45 minutes away, where no Whole Foods has ever existed and never will, and where Amazon delivery windows are longer and less reliable than in urban zip codes, Dollar Tree is often the most accessible physical retail location for everyday household essentials, not the cheapest option across all categories compared to online purchasing. The most accessible option available today. No shipping required, no minimum order, no delivery fee. This is the food desert reality that does not get discussed in the earnings call context, but shapes the company's physical footprint in ways that are impossible to ignore. Dollar Tree operates in rural markets that other retailers have calculated are not worth serving. The population density is too low, the average basket size is too small, the logistics are too complicated. Dollar Tree does the math differently, partly because its store format is smaller and cheaper to operate than a traditional grocery or mass merchandise format, and partly because in many of these markets there is genuinely no one else there. For the shopper in that community, Dollar Tree is not a fun errand. It is a practical necessity. It is where you get the dish soap, the pain reliever, the birthday card, and the canned goods when driving an hour round trip to a larger retailer is not a practical option for that week. The products available at that Dollar Tree may not be the best versions of those categories. They are the available versions, and available at a fixed low price without requiring a store membership, a minimum order, or a smartphone. That relationship between Dollar Tree and rural America is one of the most important and most under-examined dimensions of the company's position in the retail landscape. It is also one of the clearest arguments against the reflexive dismissal of the chain as a low-end retailer serving low-value customers. The customers it serves in those rural markets are not low value. They are underserved, which is a different condition with different implications for what a responsible retailer does with its pricing, its product selection, and its store quality commitments. The Walmart and Amazon problem. Two companies are closing in on Dollar Tree from entirely different directions simultaneously. Walmart is not standing still while Dollar Tree figures out its next move. Amazon is not sitting out the value retail conversation. And Dollar Tree is trying to find and hold a lane that neither of those giants has fully claimed while operating with a fraction of their capital, their technology infrastructure, and their logistical capabilities. Walmart's competitive pressure on Dollar Tree is primarily a geographic and price pressure. As Walmart has expanded its smaller format stores and its neighborhood market concept into communities it previously served only through its supercenters, it has moved physically closer to the Dollar Tree customer base in markets where Dollar Tree previously had limited direct competition. A shopper who can reach a Walmart neighborhood market with a manageable trip is now comparing the Dollar Tree experience against a Walmart experience that includes fresh food, pharmacy services, and a price matching guarantee. That is a more competitive environment than Dollar Tree faced when its primary local competitors were smaller independent retailers. Amazon's pressure operates differently. For the Dollar Tree customer with reliable internet access and a Prime membership, the comparison is increasingly not between Dollar Tree and another physical store. It is between Dollar Tree and the convenience of having household staples delivered to the door, often at prices that are competitive with or lower than what Dollar Tree offers on comparable items. Dollar Tree's advantage against Amazon is immediacy and accessibility, the ability to walk in today and leave with the product today without waiting, without shipping minimums, and without the digital literacy requirements that online shopping still presents to a meaningful portion of the population. Dollar Tree's response to this competitive squeeze is not to out Walmart or out Amazon. The company does not have the resources or the infrastructure to compete on those terms, and the leadership team knows it. The strategy, as best as can be read from the moves Dollar Tree has made, is to deepen the value proposition in the specific areas where neither Walmart nor Amazon is fully present. The fixed price certainty, the small footprint accessibility, and the specific community relationships built in markets that the giants have not fully committed to serving. Whether that strategy is sufficient is a question the market is still answering. What is clear is that Dollar Tree is not attempting to copy the playbook of either of its largest threats. It is trying to remain useful in the spaces those threats leave empty, and betting that those spaces are larger and more durable than the analysts who have written Dollar Tree's competitive obituary multiple times in the last decade have been willing to credit. What Dollar Tree just did here is the part of this story that required this entire investigation to properly contextualize. Over the last 18 months, Dollar Tree made a series of specific operational decisions that no comparable discount retailer had attempted at scale, and several of those decisions directly contradict what the conventional retail wisdom said a company in Dollar Tree's position should be doing. The $3 and $5 tier expansion is the most visible of these moves. Dollar Tree had experimented with multi-price zones in select markets for years, testing whether its customer base would accept price points above the fixed price promise in exchange for access to product categories and sizes that the dollar tier could not accommodate. The answer, over years of careful testing, was yes, with conditions. The conditions were essentially that the product at $3 or $5 had to deliver value that was clearly proportionate to the higher price point, not just a bigger package of the same compromised product. Dollar Tree rolled out the expanded price tiers in a significant portion of its store footprint in ways that changed the category range available in those stores meaningfully. Frozen food expanded. The health and wellness section grew. Name brand products that had been mathematically impossible to stock at the original price ceiling began appearing on Dollar Tree shelves at the $3 and $5 tiers. The store started looking less like a treasure hunt for random useful items and more like a genuine household shopping destination that could address a wider range of weekly needs in a single visit. The frozen food expansion deserves specific attention because it is the move that most surprised retail analysts who had written defined narratives about what Dollar Tree was and was not. Adding real frozen food to a significant number of Dollar Tree locations required capital investment in cold chain infrastructure and store-level freezer equipment. It required supplier relationships in categories where Dollar Tree had minimal prior sourcing experience. It required a customer communication shift about what the store now offered that could not be accomplished simply by putting new products on shelves and hoping people noticed. Dollar Tree also made a quiet but meaningful commitment to expanding health product availability, particularly over-the-counter medications and basic health supplies in markets where it identified limited access to pharmacy retail. In communities without a nearby pharmacy chain, Dollar Tree locations with expanded health product selections are not a convenience. They are the accessible option for someone who needs pain relief or a bandage or an antacid and cannot make a 45-minute round trip to get it. That positioning is deliberate, it addresses a real gap, and it aligns the brand with a community role that is more defensible against competitive pressure than a pure price competition strategy. The combination of these moves, the price tier expansion, the frozen food investment, the health product commitment, and the accelerating private label push, adds up to something that is larger than the sum of its parts. Dollar Tree is quietly attempting to redefine what a discount retailer can be in the markets it serves, using the trust it built over 35 years of price consistency as the foundation for a broader value proposition. That is not what any analyst expected from a company that was simultaneously managing the family dollar crisis and a public activist investor pressure campaign. Whether any of it works, honest retail analysis requires this question. None of the moves described in this video automatically succeed simply because they were bold or because the strategic rationale behind them is coherent. Dollar Tree is attempting a significant operational and brand transformation under financial pressure, competitive pressure, and regulatory scrutiny simultaneously. That is a difficult combination under the best management conditions. The Family Dollar situation remains the largest unresolved weight on the business. Divesting a brand that cost $8.5 billion to acquire after spending years and hundreds of millions attempting to integrate and improve it is not a transaction that happens cleanly or at full value. Whatever Dollar Tree ultimately does with Family Dollar will be a net negative on the balance sheet relative to what the acquisition cost. The question is how large that negative turns out to be and how much it constrains the capital available for the Dollar Tree brand investments that are showing genuine promise. The multi-price tier strategy has real execution risk. Dollar Tree's brand identity was built on the certainty of a single price. Every dollar added to the price tier options in the store dilutes that certainty slightly and moves the brand closer to the general value retail positioning that Family Dollar and Dollar General have always occupied. If Dollar Tree's $3 and $5 sections stop feeling like a logical extension of the value promise and start feeling like a different store that happens to share the same name, the brand foundation that makes everything else work is at risk. The supply chain diversification, the private label expansion, the frozen food build-out, and the health product commitment are all capital-intensive investments made during a period when the company's financial position is not at its strongest. Timing matters in retail investment. Getting these bets right requires sustained execution over multiple years in an environment where consumer behavior, competitive dynamics, and macroeconomic conditions are all shifting simultaneously. Dollar Tree has made the right calls before. It has also made $8.5 billion mistakes. Both of those things are true at the same time. Dollar Tree's story is not actually about dollar stores. Here's what this story is actually about. It is about whether a retailer that built its entire identity on a single unchanging promise can evolve that promise without losing the trust the promise created. Every major decision Dollar Tree has made in the last 5 years represents an attempt to answer that question in the affirmative, to prove that the consistency customers trusted is still present even when the specific terms of the commitment have changed. The customers who shop at Dollar Tree in rural communities where no alternative exists are not following this corporate narrative. They are not watching earnings calls or reading retail analysis. They are walking into a store that is there when other stores are not, buying what they need at a price they can plan around, and leaving. That transaction is the business underneath all the corporate strategy. Every move Dollar Tree makes is either protecting that transaction or it is not. The decisions made in the last 18 months suggest that at least some of the people running this company understand that the transaction is the point, and the strategy exists to serve it, not the other way around. That understanding, sustained and acted on consistently, is the thing that no other discount retailer has managed to demonstrate at Dollar Tree's scale and in Dollar Tree's markets. Whether they continue to demonstrate it is the only question that actually matters.